Hey everyone, this is kind of something that I wanted to do for a little while, but I'm labeling this kind of like getting to know Michael Jackson. I think there's a lot of things that will connect us as humans in terms of the music he liked, the movies he liked, the TV shows he liked, comedies that he liked. And I think that this will be kind of an interesting kind of chat that we're having together. And I can see your guys' comments already, but it also keeps me from, I don't even want to say forgetting, but just remembering the good times and the memories and stuff like that. But before we start that, there was a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. I know we wanted to do something with the Justice for Invincible, the Invincible album. And that's something that we'll talk about a little later. But also we have kind of a special guest on that. There's a big event happening tomorrow in terms of something that's going to be re-released. And so we have a surprise guest that's going to join us for a couple of minutes and kind of talk about that before we go into the music, which is something that I'm excited about as well. So without further ado, here's our special guest.
Hello,
What's
everyone.
up? What's up, Danny? How are you?
What's up, Taj? How are you? I'm good. As
So,
good as it can be in this condition.
Yeah. So you're still in China, though.
Right. I'm still in China. Conditions here has gotten a lot better now, so I'm just waiting it out here before I go back to Canada.
Got it. Okay. And you've been there since
Since I last saw you.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam. Yeah. You went straight to China. I remember that.
We were supposed to go see 1917 on the last day, but we were all so tired.
That Sunday. Yep.
It's a great movie, though. I regret not going.
Yeah. I had seen it already.
You had seen it already?
As a screener for because my wife gets screeners for the SAG thing, so I'd seen it.
Okay, I see. It's just I regret because I was gonna watch it here, but then obviously not anymore. Second day it got here, the virus thing happened. But it's cool because we met through like my my YouTube podcast thing, so it's so nice to kind of come back and be where we both started in this relationship.
And I'm interviewing you now, which is an interesting turn of events. But
turntables.
Let's talk about the big day tomorrow in terms of for Square One, or Square One 2.0, I should say. So tell me what's going on, Danny.
So if you live in Germany, obviously Square One 2.0 has already been on Amazon Prime. But starting tomorrow, if you live in the United States or the United Kingdom, Square One will be available to you on Amazon Prime. So US and UK, everyone, please go stream Square One 2.0 tomorrow. Taj has already seen it in Amsterdam. And
it's incredible. I recommend it, even if you had seen the 1.0 version, you need to see the 2.0 version. And even if you've seen the 2.0 version, you need to see it again because we need to support each other. And I will definitely be watching it on my Amazon Prime. So it's going to sound like an Amazon commercial because when we're doing the music thing, I'm going to be using an Amazon Echo. So, but I'm not sponsored by Amazon at all. I don't get any funding from them whatsoever.
I just want to trigger Alexa.
Yeah, exactly. Can trigger Alexa. But saying that, what made you kind of want to do a 2.0 so that people that have seen the first version, what are they going to see differently? Don't spoil anything, but just in terms of like
Justin Donnie's in it. No, but when we did Square One 1.0, obviously I didn't know anything about making documentaries, making films and stuff like that. I just watched a lot of movies, obviously, but that doesn't always translate to making good films. But I had an opportunity to interview Josephine Zoni. And when logically, like when someone wants to make a documentary, usually the traditional route would be to get funding and then you would submit it into festivals and stuff like that and get the traditional release. But I didn't have all that knowledge, right? All I knew was YouTube and digital. Yep. So obviously that's why I gotta kind of defend Tosh for a bit. People were like, oh, Square One got made so fast. Well, if I knew the process, I would have done the exact same thing. But I didn't know the process. So in my mind, I had two options: was to whether to go and learn like filmmaking, all the stuff, or to just get this out as fast as possible.
Mhm.
I chose to do two to get it out as fast as possible while learning as much as I can on the fly.
Yeah.
For example, the interview with Geraldine Hughes that we did.
Mhm.
Me and Liam, we actually we left the tripod in the Uber.
Mm.
So
Wow.
when Geraldine Hughes did her interview, we actually stacked. We got one of those TV projector
Mm.
rolly things,
Yeah.
and we put a toilet paper on top of that, and the camera was on top of a toilet paper.
Wow.
So,
So
and then
very
now,
indie. Yeah, very old
yeah,
school. Yeah.
nowadays, toilet paper, that's maybe a luxury, but back
Yeah.
then,
Back then it
back
was.
then that was. So, I just put it together and I made a YouTube video out of it and premiered it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But then when you premiere something on YouTube, the rendering, the quality drops a lot. For example, when you hear Charles Thompson's phone call, there's a lot of audio cuts and stuff like that, which I wasn't really happy with. A lot of people were pointing out about that. And also, uh, by doing it my way, by putting a product out first, rather than going the traditional route. One of the advantages of that is that I could see a lot of feedback, what I could do
Mm.
better, what new information I could include. So me and my team, we kind of just went back and we regrouped and just we redid Charles's voiceover
Hmm.
when we were in LA to meet you for the Halloween party.
Hmm.
Actually, I stole Charles for a day
Hmm.
to redo the interview. I
Nice.
think I actually asked you for permission. I was
Yeah.
like, "Can I borrow Charles for a bit?" And you
Yeah.
were like, "Yeah." So all the audio quality has been improved. Some stylistic improvements. And what did you notice when you saw Square One 2.0 that you thought was the biggest difference to you between 2.0 and 1?
Just the touch ups behind it and stuff like that. It's almost like going back and kind of, I don't even want to say fixing. It's just in terms of enhancing.
Right, right,
Because you get feedback and you understand certain things that in your mind like made sense to you or whatever. So other people you need more clarity or whatever. So I mean that's just the process in general. And because you were working in such a way that so few people knew about it in the beginning, you didn't have like the resource of just having a test audience and all that stuff,
exactly,
which is what
exactly.
they do, so I think you
Yeah,
did an incredible job with, the 1.0, and I really enjoy 2.0. And I think one of the things that we all need to do is we need to support it because, those kind of streaming services look at numbers and they say, depending on the success of one, they'll go, oh, there is a market for pro Michael Jackson stuff, or, the truth to be out there. And so that helps everyone. And so I do think, even if you have seen it already, you should definitely stream it on Amazon Prime if you're in the UK or the US or Germany who already has it.
right. And it's gonna go worldwide to every country very soon,
Nice.
in the coming weeks. And obviously, Square One just premiered in China's social media as well.
Mhm.
We chose to put it out on a free platform,
Mhm.
and it got over 1.5 million views in the first 2 days.
Which is amazing. Yeah.
Harper's Bazaar covered it. It was an incredible launch, and it was a
That,
trending topic.
yeah.
And the box office account in China covered it as well. So over here, it's completely opposite of thinking Michael Jackson is guilty,
Yeah.
which I don't even see that much of it around anymore. I feel like the tide has like been turning.
It
You
has
know.
been turning. And the thing is that Michael Jackson's always been a cash cow for the
Hmm.
media, and the media, once they get out of their mentality or out of their head that negative and fake articles, profit, because really
Hmm.
it's pro Michael Jackson articles that are doing better than the negative ones. And so it's just they
Exactly.
have to relearn their strategy because all they care about is money and clicks and stuff like that. So once they start realizing that pro Michael Jackson articles get more clicks than negative ones do, then I think they'll change their strategy because that's all they care. They don't care about the truth. They just care about,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And the runway has been cleared for when Truth Runs Marathons
Mm.
debut, and I think that's going to be like the final nail. That's gonna be like
that's what it's geared to do. But you guys have all set the tide in that way. You guys have been, the hitters that have gotten on base. I always use baseball analogies. I apologize, but you guys have gotten on base with incredible hits, and it's like that's the thing. We all help each other out here. It's not like I wasn't wishing, I hope this one doesn't steal the thunder of this. I've been on almost every documentary I could possibly be on, because the thing is for me, it's all about the truth. And I'd rather people hear it from people that truly knew Michael Jackson, as opposed to people that were just theorizing, he must have been like this or whatever.
Yeah. And to add on to that, we obviously have the Jackson magazine, and Taj was out there since March of last year, just being on every news network, like one station to the next in the UK. I mean, that must have been so tiring. And especially at that point where, it wasn't very popular to go around claiming that Michael Jackson was innocent. Taj is one of the only people doing that. He gave inspiration for all of us to follow his footsteps and, search for the truth.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I got the strength from the fans, to be honest, just because I always did anyway, in general. And they, fans hold you up in that way. Michael Jackson fans, once I knew that they were not going to just blindly believe allegations, and they're used to it. We've all had to deal with ignorance and people claiming Michael Jackson was this and that, and we've had to present them with facts. I think the hardest thing for me was just I hadn't even seen Leaving Neverland yet when I went to the UK.
Right.
So it was almost like, I always say this in interviews, but it was almost like, going into the lion's den with a slab of meat on your, around your neck, because they were chomping at the bits. They had already, some of them had already interviewed Wade and James and Danny and and Danny, Dan, sorry, Danny, and Dan, and Dan had done some interviews, and Dan having come from the UK, he had a lot of preferential treatment. But at the same time, I really believed that the truth would prevail, and all I did was stay my course and just tell the truth, and it worked out in that way. So, yeah. But I just kind of wanted to sneak you in here because it was a last minute addition, but I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that Square One 2.0 was coming out in America and the UK on Amazon Prime. It's already out in Germany. Please stream it, because we need the numbers. We need the support. But not only stream it, leave a review. Those kind of reviews help so much. Because
I have like strangers come up to me being like, "Oh, your movie's like a 9.3 on IMDb. That's crazy." Those things matter to people.
Yeah, I mean that's for me. Like if I'm debating on a documentary to watch, I'll look at the reviews or I'll look at the star rating of it. So that does matter, and I think we know that as the Jackson fam, we do know that, but we need to do that more often as well. So
and I like IMDb ratings because that's from actual people and not just the critics. The critics always got like an agenda against everything.
Yeah. They have an agenda, and they have a lot of prejudice, even though they claim to be fair or whatever. I mean, in today's world, they all come with baggage.
Except that one film journalist on Twitter, Sam, his name is, from Sweden. He's been very supportive of Michael Jackson.
Nice.
And our project. But anyway, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's 3 a.m. now.
Yeah, I was going to say it's 3 a.m. for Danny, so that's why we're cutting it short. But Danny, we will have you back on again.
No, thank you so much, man. You gotta get some guests whose names are not Danny next time.
Yeah, I was going to say. Sorry for that slip up. I'm not really, but
no worries. Thank you so much, man, and have a great rest of the show, which I'm sure you will have.
I will. Take care, buddy.
Bye-bye.
So that was for Square One 2.0. That was Danny Wu. And you guys definitely make sure that you stream this. This is super important. Let's get into the next topic before we get into the music, and that's Justice for Invincible, which some people had brought to my attention. I missed the first we were trying to trend it, and I kind of missed the boat on that because I didn't see it. But Justice for Invincible is basically we're trying to get Invincible back to #1 on certain charts. And so I think with any kind of thing like that, we have to pick a date and stick to it and kind of get everyone to buy the album in that week, because I think it goes by week or whatever, preferably by that day, so that it's, I don't know if the iTunes charts is daily or whatever, if it fluctuates, but because once you get up to a certain number, if it's top 5, top 3 or whatever, other people will see it and other people will buy it. But we need to be strategic on that. So what I would suggest is we pick a date like a week from now or something, somewhere far away enough that we can kind of all be prepared for it and around, so we can say, okay, let's do it on this date and whatever. I'm going to try and look at the statistics of the recording thing when they calculate it too, because there's no sense doing it on a Sunday if Monday they calculate the total for the whole week and we missed out on all those days. So maybe someone knows that, like when iTunes or any of those other ones do calculate what day to what date. But that's something pretty important, because I don't believe Invincible got its justice. I know it was his fastest selling album at the time, and Sony pulled the promotion on it. So it is something that I think should be there and would be there. And I honestly think in America, a lot of people don't even know about the Invincible album, which is a travesty on itself. Someone said streaming or buying. I think that's an interesting question. I think buying is what matters on iTunes. And I have the Alexa or the Alexa Echo, the Amazon thing, to the side, and it's flashing right now. So if it says something, it's because somehow it got triggered to say something. But just know that that's not someone else talking. It's just the Alexa. But I don't know. I think buying is more impactful. I think buying counts more. I think streaming, if I'm not mistaken, you have to have X amount of streaming to equal one buy. So if you're, I know times are tough. So if it's something that you can only stream, then just stream and just promote and have other people stream. That's perfectly fine. But if you can't afford to buy it, then, I think that would be a stronger thing. Okay, let's see here. And I will be answering questions too in between the music part of the this portion. So the reason I wanted to do this getting to know Michael Jackson thing was just because, as I said before, so many people claim to know Michael Jackson. So many people claim to think they know Michael Jackson. And it's very unfortunate, because it's kind of like the game of telephone. We're hearing all these different versions of different things. And I wanted to kind of talk about my personal experience or certain personal things in terms of whether it's the music that he played around me and my brothers, and those kind of stories, or like the movies that we watched together, or books that we read or he read or that he recommended to us, those kind of things. Because I think that it's like pieces of the puzzle. By getting to know more about little stories, you kind of get to know more about him. And he was such an amazing person that I think that it's, I'm not the only one that can tell stories. And throughout the weeks and whatever, I'll have other people come in and tell stories about him too, in that way. So what's my favorite song from Invincible? Gosh. That's a good question. Speechless was the song that was super important to me. Yeah, I would say it was super important to me at a certain point. Just the I don't know how to explain it, but there was a time where we would listen to Speechless. We'd have it on repeating as we were sleeping and whatever. And it was just, it's such a, I don't know, the rawness of his voice, and it's something about that song. But yeah, that would be one of my immediate answers in that way. But the problem is there's so many songs and so many incredible songs on that album. Was kind of reminiscing and going back, and we were listening to Whatever Happened Yesterday, with Carlos Santana, and it was just like, there is all these different songs, and yeah, I just truly love the whole album. I'm hearing everyone else's uh, answers. Butterflies is one that everyone says, in that way. And it's funny. I don't know if people know. I think Butterflies that was pitched to the Jacksons before it was pitched to Michael, because my dad had a demo of that song. Probably, I think, gosh, way before. If I'm not mistaken, it could be another song, but I thought it was Butterflies. I heard a version of that way before the Michael version of it. So, but am happy that it went to Michael, because I think it's the perfect match, and it's an incredible song. Let's see. I'm just looking at comments as well. I should highlight some of these. All right, let's just go on to the music then. This voice on 2000 watts. Yeah. Yeah, Michael, someone said Michael's wait, where is it? Ooh, Michael is getting me through lockdown. Yes, same here. I mean, Michael and the Jackson 5, we've been listening to a lot in that way. Just the brilliance of it. I mean, just them as kids, and what they, how they took over the world with their music is incredible. I was listening, which is one of my favorite albums, Live at the Forum. And it's my favorite album because I can feel the energy of the crowd, as they perform live. But it's just like, it's such a phenomenon. And it's amazing that this family, as young as they were, kind of were a once in a lifetime group. So I don't know. I recommend Live at the Forum, the Jackson 5 Live at the Forum. I think it was in the 70s, early 70s. It was before I was born, from those. But that whole thing was incredible. Have we ever got a chance to work with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis? I know Jimmy Jam pretty well. He is amazing, him and Terry, no, we didn't. We were going to at one point. We played one of our songs, Sugar, for them. Jimmy liked it a lot. We didn't, just because of timing of it. That would be one of my dreams, would be to work with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They're incredible. They are legends in themselves. And I can't say anything in terms of like, they've been so amazing. They've consistently throughout the decades, and they have all these different types of styles. So yeah. Yeah, see, Live at the Forum was 70 and 73. So yeah, okay. What was Michael's favorite song to perform? That's a good one. I don't know that answer. I mean, I never asked him what his favorite song to perform. Maybe one of my brothers did. I'll ask them what his favorite song to perform was. I think one of his most frustrating songs to perform was Billie Jean, because he never felt, especially on tour, he never felt like he could give the fans 110% of what he was doing, because it was always, that song was always somewhere in the middle or towards the end. And so he always was like tired, or he felt like he didn't have the energy that the song required. And so he always felt like he was, I don't want to say ripping off the audience, but cheap, that he was just frustrated. And I remember him saying that, like, I wish I could give them, what they deserve on this song. And I would look at it, and I would be, backstage or in front of the stage, and I was like, what are you talking about? It's amazing. You're performing your moves and all that stuff. I can see one flaw in it, but to him, he felt like he wasn't giving you guys enough. Let's see. Do you things? Did he ever talk about Imagine? He talked about John Lennon and songwriting and stuff like that. And I never really talked to him about Imagine. I know we all love that song, but we never really talked about. I didn't talk to him about it. I usually talk to him about TV and film more than anything, unless the three of us were together, me, Terrell, and TJ. Then we talked about music. So that's why, with this list that I'm about to go into, that's why we had, it's the same list that my brothers would probably give you as well. Okay, something just popped out. Let's see here. Can we? Okay, why? Prince of Flow by itself, like Prince did. The young uncle was more capable than he was. We didn't ask him that specific question, but he liked the idea of getting other songs from other people, kind of for different flavors. Because we asked him that, but he always liked that. He always liked including one or two or three writers or producers just to give it a different flavor or a different mixture in there. And so he did that consistently with all his albums. He would just have, whoever was either up and coming or was already hot at the time, he would always, bring them onto the project. But I think he also grew from that as well. Okay, let's see here. Let's start with some songs. We're not going to play all the songs, like the whole song, but I do want to kind of just, we'll start with Longer with Dan Fogelberg. I'm not going to say the names because I'm going to butcher half these names, but incredible song. I remember clearly when he played this to us, because part of the things that he played for us was for us as songwriters to kind of expand our horizons. We were listening to the top 10 songs on Billboard or whatever, and he really wanted us to kind of expand our horizons and go, okay, well, what about this song? Have you heard this song? And he was always surprised at the songs we didn't hear. But Longer was one of those songs that he played for us. And I think there's certain songs that kind of his that remind me of like that influence of Longer in that. And you guys probably will agree. There's certain songs, just the arrangement and the frailty, I think, of his voice, and the emotion behind it. So let's play a little Longer, and then we'll go on to something else. So I gotta ask Alexa. Hold on, Alexa, play Longer.
Here's Longer by Dan Fogelberg on Amazon Music.
Is the volume okay?
Longer than every fish is in the ocean, higher than any bird ever flew, longer than there've been stars up in the heavens. I've been in love with you. Stronger than any mountain cathedral, truer than any tree ever grew, deeper than any forest primeval. I am in love with you. I'll bring fire in the winters, you'll send showers in the springs. We'll fly through the falls and summers with love on our wings. Through the years, as the fire starts to mellow, burning lines in the book of our lives, though the binding cracks and the pages start to yellow, I'll be in love with you.
Alexa, stop. Okay, so yeah, there's been some comments. Yeah, for me, "Don't Walk Away" was one that I heard the influence of from when I was re-listening to the Invincible album. It reminded me just the energy, and I love that song. That's also one of those songs, but yeah, that song "Don't Walk Away" for me. But there's so many that I think that he kind of took with that. But the funny thing about my uncle, and I don't know why I always say funny thing, is that he loved music so much that it was like when he would play these songs, he would be singing them with the artist as he was playing them, and there'd be certain lines or certain harmonies that he would just get so excited, and almost like he had written the song, and I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure other artists are like that as well. They get absorbed in the music and stuff like that. But he had such an admiration for music and for artists and songwriting. And so that song "Longer" has always stood with us because it isn't something that we typically had listened to. We grew up with Motown and stuff like that, Doobie Brothers and, Stevie Wonder and the Beatles and the Bee Gees, but this was something that was very folk oriented, and so really enjoyed that, and so it kind of expanded our songwriting ability. Excuse me. Let's see. "Fly Away" is the next one, which is very you can tell it was kind of in that same era that we were talking about songwriting, because it's not, it has that same folksy kind of thing. This is "Fly Away" is by John Denver, and this was another song that he introduced us to when we were talking about, how could our songwriting get better, and he gave us certain artists and certain songs to listen to, and as I go down the list, I'm going to tell you other things that he kind of told us to do in terms of our songwriting, but I think that's a way for you to understand what his process was in terms of how he dissected songs in that way. And there's certain things I can't tell you because I promised him I'd never tell, but because they're kind of like secrets, but I'll try and skate around those in that way and give you guys a true understanding of the memories and stuff like that. But "Fly Away" was another one that he presented to us, so I think I'll play a little of that, and I'm sure you guys have heard these songs already because I put the list down on the subscription comments. So here we go with "Fly Away." Let me tell Alexa, play "Fly Away," John Denver.
Fly Away by John Denver on Amazon Music.
All of her days have gone soft and cloudy, all of her dreams have gone dry, all of her nights have gone sad and shady, she's getting ready to fly, fly away.
He loved this chorus.
Fly away.
And he would sometimes just sing the chorus to us with the answer.
Life in the city can make you crazy. The sounds of the sand and the sea. Life in a high-rise can make you hungry. The things that you can't even see. Fly away. Fly away. In this whole world, there's nobody as lonely as she. Nobody's lonely as me. There's nowhere to go, and there's nowhere that she'd rather be. She's looking for lovers and children playing. She's looking for...
Um, yeah, I have no. Someone said don't get in trouble by playing music on YouTube. I don't know the policy behind it. I definitely probably won't be able to repost this, so without copyright strikes or whatever. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that if I can post this up afterwards. Maybe someone knows that better than I do. Let's see. Would these songs? I just saw that question. Would these songs be played in the speakers at Neverland? No, I will be doing a live stream eventually with certain songs that will called the Neverland songs. Brad Brad has a good list of those songs too. I think he sells the CD or whatever, but they're different. They're very on the classical nature, and that different feeling, different atmosphere. He would play certain songs as I get to talking about certain songs at the amusement park. And there's one song in particular that played a lot at the amusement park. But yeah, in terms of just the atmospherics, no, these songs usually didn't play. They're kind of similar to what you think would play, but they didn't play usually. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, you guys are just giving me examples of certain songs that Michael liked, and yeah, definitely. I couldn't make the list too long. There are certain songs that I know, he had a lot of Bobby Brown songs that he played us. Like he loved My Prerogative. He loved oh gosh, what was the other one? I think it was Every Little Step. Let me see where I'm at right now. I don't want to get. All right, let's go to Prince, to Soft and Wet. Soft and Wet is a song that is, the other two were kind of later. The ones earlier that I played were kind of later on in life, when 3T was 3T and we were kind of learning about songwriting, and we wanted to take our songwriting to the next level. Soft and Wet was Havenhurst days. Soft and Wet was when he was living at Havenhurst, and we would come over and he would just be blasting it in his room, dancing to it, or just listening to it, but it would be blasting, and so you could hear it from outside. And it's a certain song that I hear today, and it reminds me so much of my uncle. In that way, it brings back great memories. But it's interesting because I love Prince, but because of Soft and Wet and the memories of my uncle, this has become one of my favorite Prince songs, just because it brings such a good memory to me. So let's play Soft and Wet. Alexa, play Soft and Wet by Prince.
The station,
Nope.
Easy Pop, on Amazon Music.
Let's try that again. Stop. Alexa, stop. Alexa, play Soft and Wet.
Soft and Wet by Prince on Amazon Music.
yeah, it's interesting because there have been a lot of tabloid things to say, oh, Michael and Prince didn't like each other, blah 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 blah. I think that's farthest from the truth. I think they had great admiration for each other, as we've seen. Certain stories not only respected each other, they respect each other's geniusness, and also I think that when you've gone through the same things that other people have gone through, in a way you kind of identify with them, you understand them. And I think Prince understood Michael better than a lot of people did, even though they didn't have an extremely close relationship. Just he understood what he was going through, because in a way Prince went through that. And so I don't know, I just love that song. He loved how funky it was, in terms of it. So that's why he had to blast it in that way. And I could see him dancing to it in my mind as I was playing it. That's why I was smiling at certain points. But yeah, because my uncle loved funky songs, let's see where we can go to next. It's interesting because there's certain songs that a lot of people would never equate Michael Jackson to, in terms of like, this is the kind of music he listens to. And he had all different types of styles that he listened to in general. And I'm trying to play the non-obvious. Obviously he grew up listening to James Brown, Smokey Robinson, Sly and the Family Stone, Stevie Wonder. Those are the obvious ones. Supremes and stuff like that. I'm not giving you I'm giving you the ones that you would never think that he listened to, in a way where you're like, wow, okay, I didn't know that. Because I think that's also interesting. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a song called Windy, and it's such a happy song. And the reason I like this song is because throughout my life I've tended to like love I don't want to say happy-go-lucky songs, but just happy songs that sound happy. And Windy is one of those songs that sounds very happy. Like you can't not listen to it and smile. It's very old sounding, and I'd say that in a nice way, because I'm a nostalgic person, but it has that. So let's go with Windy. Yes, it is. It's a lot of people do know this song, but it's just, here we go. Alexa, play Windy by The Association.
Here's Windy by The Association on Amazon Music.
Just because we'll be here forever. Did he like serious funk? Yes. That played a lot. Those were the Neverland days, especially in the arcade room. He would play a lot of funk music there. because the speaker system was good in the arcade. And so while we were playing games, arcade games, that's when he would bust out, you know, the I would say the serious funk, as you said. Parliament, yeah. I mean, all the stuff that has been kind of sampled by rappers and stuff like that, we heard him first probably through him in that way. So like, you know, Super Freak, or you know, I mean, gosh, Parliament's been sampled to death, but we would hear all those songs, you know, the real versions. I shouldn't. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The original versions of those songs, because you know the rap counterparts are sometimes equals in that way. They're great songs. Let's see. Classic rock. Was my uncle a fan of Steve Perry? Yes, definitely. You know, with Journey, yes, 100%. I can't tell you what his favorite song was. I can tell you what my favorite song was. I can't tell you what his favorite song was. But yeah, I mean, I think as an artist, he respected art, and he respected people's voices, people's not only voices, but people's persona. And because sometimes, and I want to say this carefully, but sometimes people that didn't have the best vocal range were incredible singers, because their voice was unique and different, and had texture, and they knew how to work that voice or control that voice in that way. So yeah, let's see. What was Michael's favorite Queen songs? Gosh, he loved so many Queen songs. He would always play Queen songs around the house. That for me was an obvious. I know there's that story where Another One Bites the Dust. He suggested that be a single for them, but they didn't think that it was a single potential, but they released it because my uncle was so gung-ho that it was a big hit. And my uncle was right in that way. But I could see that my uncle, I mean, with the bass line, you know, let's see here. Do I believe that Michael used Longer as an inspiration I think my uncle used every song that he heard as an inspiration for something in that way. I think, you know, the hard thing as artists is sometimes subconsciously use something as inspiration. You might not have heard it for 10, 15 years, but it's still in your head, because, you know, good music you'll hear and you'll be like, oh, okay, that's something. So yeah, let's see. Jazz is something that I never heard my uncle listen to, but that doesn't mean he didn't listen to it. He listened to every style of music, from country to rap to hip hop and rap to classical. So I can't imagine him not listening to jazz music. You know, when I'm saying jazz, I mean like jazzy jazz. I'm not talking about like jazz that's contemporary jazz or whatever. Okay, let's get to the next song. Where am I? Okay, I'm gonna go kind of in order, because we're kind of making good progress here. The Rain, The Park, and Other Things. Which, thank you for correcting me, because you know on YouTube it had I Love the Flower Girls, and that's the chorus. And I couldn't remember the title of the song. I just knew it was the Cowsills. And so I typed it in, but thank you for correcting me on that. And so let's go. This is kind of very similar. I just had a thought. That's why I paused. Because yeah, you know, it's in the vein of like the Mamas and the Papas, California Dreamin' and all that stuff, these kind of songs as well, that same style, which I know he was a fan of, Mamas and the Papas. So let's see, let's do this. Hopefully it'll show up. Alexa, play The Rain, the Park, and Other Things by the Cowsills.
Here's The Rain, the Park, and Other Things, single version by the Cowsills on Amazon Music.
I saw her sitting in the rain, raindrops falling on her. She didn't seem to care. She sat there and smiled at me. Then I knew she would make me happy. Flowers in her hair, flowers everywhere. Just one, she simply cried. She seemed so sweet and kind, she kept I knew I had to say hello. She smiled up at me, and she took my hand. We walked through the park, and I knew she had made me happy. Flowers everywhere. I don't know just why she simply cried. She seems so sweet and kind. She kept me
Oh, that's the stop. Okay. So I'm not really good at doing all this. Because I'm answering questions. What was MJ's favorite Chic song? Gosh. I'm laughing because I've heard a lot of Chic songs from my uncle. The Freak, Good Times, We Are Family. I don't know because he never said what his favorite was, but we heard a lot of them, throughout our years. So, because that is knowing that that's totally up my uncle's alley. And you can kind of, someone also asked about Boyz II Men, like, did he like Boyz II Men? You can tell when my uncle appreciated an artist because they ended up working with him. They ended up singing with him or performing with him. My uncle would purposely do that. So Boyz II Men, obviously, with the History album and History, the song. Carlos Santana with Whatever Happens. I think those are, that's like the best kind of proof that he respected you and your music, if he wanted to work with you or wanted to kind of talk to you or understand what your process was in that way. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm trying to move it along because I don't want to make this too long for you guys, but I'm also trying to be smart about it too, and because I don't want to rush through things. Was there a type of music he really did not like, and why? I think he appreciated all music because he understood music, talk to different people and different styles of music. And so he would have, when it came to Billboard, he would have all the songs from every different genre, from all different types of charts, from the country charts to the dance charts, to the R&B, to the pop, to the alternative. He would have those songs, brought to him in a CD so he could listen to them. So he was well versed in all different types of music. Let's see. Did Michael like the Alien Ant Farm cover of Smooth Criminal? From what I've heard, yes. I didn't personally hear him say that. I thought someone else told me that or said that in an interview, but I don't know. I know that he appreciated it, because I think he did like it though. I mean, he never told us though, because I never asked. Did my uncle like reggae? Yes. Bob Marley and all. I mean, I mean, it's funny because to me, I hear things and I'm like, oh yeah, of course you like this, because it's in my head. But to other people, unless you saw a clip of him singing that, you wouldn't know that he liked that. There's a clip of MJ singing Automatic by the Pointer Sisters behind the scenes on the ground. You ever play that song? My uncle loved the Pointer Sisters, so that wouldn't surprise me. He loved the Pointer Sisters in general. I think everything that they represent, but also, they are legends. So what's not to like? Let's see. He sings "She's Leaving Home" by the Beatles in the 1980 Singapore tape. Do you remember? Since you were there, he sung that a lot, and that was probably around the time that we were talking about music and songwriting and whatever. I don't remember that actually. I mean, I haven't looked at that tape in a long time, but he used to sing a lot of songs in that way. That was one of his favorite Beatles songs, and we probably should play that next because of the orchestration. And there really isn't any other orchestration besides the orchestra in the song. And I think he really liked that. I think not in the same way, but Little Susie, I think it doesn't have drums or anything like that, or bass or guitar or anything like that. It's strictly orchestra. And I think that's what he loved about She's Leaving Home as well. It was very much just the orchestra. And let's play that if we can. Sorry. I'm kind of going out of order, but it's all right. Alexa, play She's Leaving Home by the Beatles.
Here's She's Leaving Home, remastered 2009 by the Beatles on Amazon Music.
Alexa, stop. I can listen to these songs for the whole entirety. Yeah, you're starting to see a pattern in certain things of he loved orchestration, which is why you saw in his later works a lot of orchestration, a lot of strings. He always had strings before, but the melodic strings and telling their own story. And let me see. Let me look at some comments to make sure I'm not, because we're starting to get into the more not current, but things that kind of have stories behind them. We can go to Sugar, because I'm going to keep it. I'm going to go to all the older ones first, and then kind of work my way to more current. Sugar Sugar, by the Archies, is something that not only did my uncle like, he owned it at one point when he owned the publishing. That was one of the songs that he owned, was Sugar Sugar, and he was so proud of that. And I love that song. It's a song that and let's say, no, you did not miss Sugar Sugar. I'm doing it now. It was one of those songs that it's a happy song, but it's so interesting, because I think that if I wasn't his nephew and I didn't see him talk about these songs, I would not think that he would like these songs. I would, they're kind of old fashioned, but that's what I love about them. I'm very nostalgic, as I'm old fashioned in general, but I wouldn't think that he would like those songs. I think he would only have liked, funk songs or disco songs or something else that kind of is more reminiscent to his music himself. But as you can tell, he kind of, as he got more freedom, he kind of incorporated a lot of this. And so his latter work kind of is more reminiscent to the style than his earlier stuff was. All right, let's go with this. Sugar Sugar. Oh, yeah. Alexa, play Sugar Sugar by the Archies.
Sugar, Sugar by the Archies on Amazon Music.
Sugar, oh honey, honey, you are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you, honey, oh sugar, sugar, you are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you. I just can't believe the loveliness of loving you. I just can't believe it's true. I just can't believe the wonder of this feeling too. I just can't believe it's true. Ah, sugar, oh honey, honey, you are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you. Oh honey, oh sugar, sugar, you are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you. When I kissed you, girl, I knew how sweet a kiss could be.
That's a stop. Okay. Trying to go a lot quicker now, because we are at the hour and 4 mark. What are some of the TV shows Michael liked? I can only tell you this: the ones that I personally saw or watched with him: Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons. I think those are certain ones that a lot of people watched in that way. But he didn't want, to be honest, when I was around, he didn't watch a lot of TV. I mean, obviously Three Stooges, that was kind of the go-to, but he didn't watch a lot of TV. It was more movies. Did you know who Selena was? I don't know if he did. I mean, I think everyone knew who Selena was. If she was such a powerhouse, and so I would say that he never we never talked about it, so I can't say for sure, but I can say that, you know, because she was so instrumental in music, that I definitely know he would have known her if I would have asked him. When you say favorite movie soundtracks, is it my favorite movies or his? Well, he loved obviously uh, Saturday Night Live, you know, the Bee Gees, because of the soundtrack in that way. He would play that a lot. He played a lot of Bee Gees, so, and from that soundtrack. So I would say that would probably be my guess of favorite soundtrack, only because that's the one that I heard the most of. But I don't know in terms of that. Okay, let's get to, yes, he did like Simon and Garfunkel. He played the song. Let's do a remix real quick. He played the song. I think. Oh my! I don't even know what the song is called. Hold on. As I'm talking, Simon. Maybe it is that called that. The song, the Simon and Garfunkel song called America. He played that one for us because he wouldn't not even play it. He would just sing that song. I want to hear it because I haven't heard it in ages. So hold on. Alexa, play Simon and Garfunkel America. I think my Alexa's dead. Hold on. Alexa, play Simon and Garfunkel America.
Here's America by Simon and Garfunkel on Amazon Music.
Let us be lovers, we'll marry our fortunes together. I've got some real estate here in my bag, so we bought a pack of cigarettes, and this is when we eyes and walked off to look for America. Kathy, I said as we boarded a Greyhound in Pittsburgh, Michigan seems like a dream to me now. It took me 4 days to hitchhike from Saginaw. I've come to look for America. Laughing on the bus, play games with the faces. She said the man in the gabardine.
Let's just stop. That brings back great memories because I can, especially him singing the chorus of that song. Let's go. That was kind of a sneaker one that I just threw in there. Simon Garfunkel America, because that was something that came up. We're gonna go 2 more older songs, and then we're gonna go to songs that are kind of more, I shouldn't say more current, but songs that you would expect him kind of to like. Make It With You, Bread was, I'll play very quickly both songs, like not both the whole songs, but just little bits of it. When we were talking about songwriting as 3T, Bread was one of the first things that he mentioned, and we had no clue who Bread was. David Gates. And he was so his look when we told him that we didn't know who Bread was hilarious, because we felt kind of ignorant. But a lot of people don't know who Bread was. But their songs are so classic, and once we bought the Best of Bread, you know, and started studying them, it became an influence of 3T as well. And in our songs and our music, Bread is heard in terms of its influence. And so Let's start with Make It With You, and we'll go to Aubrey right after. Okay. Alexa, play Make It With You by Bread.
Here's Make It With You by Bread on Amazon Music.
Hey, have you ever tried really reaching out for the other side? I may be climbing on rainbows, but baby, here goes. Dreams there for those who sleep. Life is for us to keep. And if you're wondering what this song is leading to, I wanna make it with you. I really think that we could make it good.
All right, Alexa, stop. We're gonna just Alexa, stop. We're gonna do a quick Bread method. Alexa, play Aubrey by Bread.
Aubrey by Bread on Amazon Music.
And Aubrey was her name, the not so very ordinary girl or name. But who's to blame for a love that wouldn't bloom, for the hearts that never played in tune? Like a lovely melody that everyone can sing. Take away the words that rhyme, it doesn't mean a thing. And Aubrey was her name.
Alexa, stop. I'm going to shorten these only because I want to get to one more Bread song real quick. And that's Look What You've Done, which is one of my favorite songs of Bread. Bread, there's so many songs, but are you guys hearing as well? Are you hearing kind of, just by me doing this, are you hearing like certain songs that he's done as influences, now kind of understanding what he took in terms of like as inspiration? I mean, obviously these are kind of random songs, but not only that, he just, and as the next couple songs after the Bread one, I'm going to explain what I mean by his process and stuff like that. But let me know if you are hearing. I'm kind of following some of the comments and some of you saying, "Oh yeah, I can hear this and this and whatever." So, Alexa, play "Look What You've Done" by Bread.
Here's Look What You've Done by Bread on Amazon Music.
You have taken the heart of me and left just a part of me. And look what you've done. Yeah, you took all the best of me, so come get the rest of me and look back, finish what you've begun. There is someone you want to meet. It's me, Miss incomplete look that would have become, for it's due to the lack of you that I'm now only have to look. Sit back, finish what you begun.
Alexa, stop. I can listen to that all day. I think I just blocked someone. Sorry about that. No, I meant to block them, but sorry that I was distracted in that way. I'm looking at comments and someone was spamming something, and you guys told me to block them, so I had to figure out how to do that. It's interesting because a lot of these songs I even hear influence, and not even the obvious influences. I just hear certain things in terms of instrumentation, but also the way certain things come in. And you know who would be? Terrell is actually really good at that. You know, you guys should hound Terrell about that. Terrell spent the most time talking to him about music and the dissection of music and why do you put this here or that there. In that way, he kind of like I did with TV and film. That's what Terrell did with music. And so there's things that I don't even know in terms of like what this was in here for. I do know in Beat It, I did ask him because I feel like the first line, you know, when he says, they told me, don't you ever come around here. That here didn't seem like it hit the note perfectly, in my opinion. And he told me, he's like, feeling is way more important than pitch. And it's something that I feel like we forgot in today's world. And I've never heard it differently since then in that way, because it's, you know, because when you can make something perfect, you lose the feeling of it. And he was obviously, he's completely right. But I mean, that's me being Mr., you know, at that time, naive young Taj that's trying to come from a synchronized background of like quantizing and stuff like that. So let's see here. Let's see what. Yeah, Terrell did explain. That's good. Yeah, Terrell has so many stories in that way, because that's all they talked about was music. You know, I talked a lot about music with him too when I was around my brothers. The crazy thing is we just harmonize together. He would just sing a note and go harmonize to it, and we'd harmonize with them. Like, and it's so surreal now because obviously if that was captured on tape, that would be priceless for us. But we would do that, or we'd come up with melodies. Like he'd say a melody. It's almost like where, you know, that thing where you add a line to a story and you keep making the story. We would do that with melodies. He would sing a melody, and then we'd have to sing a melody to complement that melody. And he just loved doing that with us in terms of testing our artistic ability, but seeing what all of us could come up with in that way. Okay, let's see. You guys doing okay? I'm trying to make this shorter. Let's see where I am. Let's go with Owner of a Lonely Heart. Yes. This is a song that we heard a lot at Neverland, and especially around the amusement parks. It would play a lot. Big Al probably knows about that in terms of just in general, like that would blast. But I've heard him blast that in the house as well, or it just, you'll see why I think he loved the guitar, and he loved the breaks in there, and you can kind of see the influence because he has breaks in his songs, so he loved the breaks in those songs, and you can kind of see the breaks. I don't know. There's a song that I see, and it's like, yes, well, I said yes. It's a song that I'm like, okay, that sounds like something my uncle would like. So let's play Owner of a Lonely Heart. Hold on. Alexa, play Owner of a Lonely Heart. Yes.
Here's Owner of a Lonely Heart by Yes on Amazon Music.
Move yourself. You always live your life. Never thinking of the future. Prove yourself. You are the move you make. Take your chances when all goes out. See yourself. You are the strength you think. You, and that's the only way. Shake yourself. Your every move you make. So the story goes. Owner of a lonely heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Much better than the owner of a broken heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Say you don't want a chance.
We got to get to the breakdown, so that's gonna play a lot of this shit.
Watch it now. In the sky. How it doesn't want to leave. You lose yourself. No, nothing big to say. There's no real reason to be lonely. Be yourself. Give your free will a chance. You got to want to succeed. Owner of a lonely heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Much better than the owner of a broken heart. Owner of a lonely
Here it comes. Yeah, I can still see my uncle rocking to this in my eyes. I like to stop. Yeah, I can still see him dancing to that song. The funny thing with my uncle, he played air guitar very well, you know, like especially during guitar parts, and he rocked a lot. He when it came down to music, like it went right through him. Like he absorbed it and channeled it in a way. It was so breathtaking to see. But he just had such a gift in that way. Let's go with, we have 1, 2, 3. I think we have 3 more songs, and I'm not going to play them in any particular order, but I do have stories for all 3 of them. Let's see. Actually, I don't for Poison. This one he played to death of. This one also has a lot of, I don't want to say, it has a lot of breaks in there, and just the rhythm and everything like that. He really, because when Poison came onto the scene, it was so different than everything else that was heard, and it was from Bell Biv DeVoe, which was such a turn from New Edition in that way. And he really enjoyed the song, but you can tell why once you hear it. But this song is also a song that we loved as 3T and as my brothers loved. And so here's Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. Alexa, play Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Here's Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe on Amazon Music.
Yeah, Spider-Man and Freeze in full effect. Ready, Ron? I'm ready. You ready, Dave? I'm ready, Slick. Are you? Oh yeah, take it down. Girl, I must warn you. I sense something strange in my mind. Yo, situation is. Let's cure it 'cause we're running out of time. It's all so beautiful. Relationships they seem from the start. It's all so deadly. When love is not taken from the heart. Check it out. It's driving me out of my mind. That's why it's hard for me to find. Can't get it out of my head. Miss her lover. That girl is poison. Never trust a big button smile. That girl is poison. If I were you, I'd take precaution.
Great song. Alexa, stop. So that is another. He had these certain songs that he would just blast, and what a lot of people, maybe a lot of people do know, you guys probably do know, Sundays were his dance days where he would practice rehearsing dance. He'd come up with new dances or he would work on other dances. So that's when songs like Poisoned or Soft and Wet, those kind of songs would play because that got him in a certain kind of vibe. In that way, he'd come up with certain dance moves and stuff like that. And Poison was one of those songs that he played often for that. Okay, I think because I didn't go in order, I have to look where I'm at. This one was a surprise to a lot of people that because it's not a well known song by this group, but it was for us because it was one of the songs that he introduced us to with the New Kids album, and he loved this song. He loved the song because of it has a very Beatlesque vibe to it, as you guys will hear in it, and he just loved it. Like he made it a point to let us know that he liked the song and for us to study it. And so here is Tonight by New Kids on the Block. Alexa, play Tonight by New Kids on the Block.
Lonely Tonight by Blake
That's what
Shelton,
happened last time.
featuring Ashley Monroe on Amazon Music.
Alexa, stop. Sorry, I did do a test run. That's why I know certain songs I have to say by the person because it doesn't. Alexa, play Tonight by New Kids on the Block.
Tonight by New Kids on the Block on Amazon Music.
Remember when we said, girl, please don't go, and how I'd be loving you forever. Don't you go hang tough, as long as you got the right stuff. Did we go? Ooh, did we go? Well, I guess it's a random day after all. Every time we hear the curtain call, see the girls and the girls in the hair, the buttons and the things in the loud and fair. Tonight, remember when we travel around the world? Remember people and girls, and they're from everywhere. Show us how you get in the girls. Ooh, in the girls. Ah. Well, I guess it's a brand new day after all. Every time we hear the curtain call, see the girls with the girls in the hair, the buttons and the pins in the loud red hair. Tonight, 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 tonight.
Sorry, I can try not to hear the whole song of everything. I think that might help with the whole YouTube thing, but I could be wrong. It could be like a couple seconds and well, copyright strikes. I have no idea. I don't really. For all of you watching live, you know, I'm sure you're appreciating this. This is just sharing the songs my uncle enjoyed. Last but not least, this song, Fine Young Cannibals. She Drives Me Crazy. This song is a song. Did you have any favorite songs from Mariah? I have no idea. I know he loved Mariah Carey. Love Mariah Carey. I don't know what his favorite song was in that way. Because we never talked about it. So I can't tell you. Sorry about that. Let's see. Okay. So basically, yeah, She Drives Me Crazy. That's a song that was like one of our first educational songs because he shared a secret with us. I'm going to see how I can say it without going back on a promise. One of the things that he did was a lot of the songs he would listen to, if he was dissecting a song, you know, which is what they tell you in movies to do. Like you watch a movie, you dissect it, you go through each, you know, shot and you look to see why that shot was there. You kind of study that shot and you understand, you know, the composition, then you understand the lighting, you understand, you know, the blocking. It's the same thing with music. If you dissect a song, you basically break it down to the point where you know why when each instrument comes in and you know why it comes in and what it's doing. And you kind of know that just by, you would hear the song all the way through, just focusing on one instrument. So whether it's the guitar, you would listen to the guitar the whole way through, just focusing on the guitar when it came in, or the bass, or the drums, or you know, if there's something else playing, keyboards or whatever. That's how you would dissect a song. You would kind of know the importance of each and why it's there, and you know, what decision was it to make it there. And She Drives Me Crazy was kind of our introduction into that, in terms of him teaching us that secret in a way of breaking it down. But what was interesting about it was the Fisher Price cassette. It was like a little Fisher, that you could get like at Toys R Us back in the day. He would listen to those when it came to dissecting a song. He would listen to it through that, not through great speakers, not through you know, these big speakers. He would listen to it through like a Fisher Price tape recorder kind of thing, or cassette player, which is, I think it was mono back then, but it kind of like, it was really, I didn't understand the logic behind that, but when he did that, you could hear each sound clearly, even more than, you know, when we hear it with the whole stereo system or whatever in that way. But that's this Fine Young Cannibals, She Drives Me Crazy was one of the first ones that we dissected with him together in that way. So I can't hear this song without knowing where every part comes in, and each, where the vocals come in, where the guitar comes in, where the drums, where the bass comes in, where the, keyboards come in. And so I have a great memory of the song, just because it was a great memory with my uncle, because there was something about my uncle in terms of with us that he shared everything with us in terms of music wise. We never felt like he was holding back. Like, he didn't want to tell us certain things because he didn't want us to, he didn't hide his secrets with us in terms of songwriting ability or anything like that. And so we felt blessed in terms of we could ask him anything about songwriting, or how songs were made, or why he did this in a song, or what this song, like the Smooth Criminal. Like, I just saw a breakdown of Smooth Criminal in terms of a multi-track, and there's a track labeled Monkeys or whatever. And it's funny because at Havenhurst, I asked him, I said, "What's that sound?" And he was like, "Those are monkeys." And so it was interesting to see that, decades later, the track was labeled Monkeys, but it was monkeys sampled up in terms of those screams, those high, not the dowels and all that, but the dun, 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 those things. And I think he was a Sinclair for that, to sample it, if I'm not mistaken. Or it was an emulator, but it was at the time, it was like the best of the best, and that he was just doing all different sounds in that. I think Black or White has a lion roar in it, is sampled in for the beginning of it as well, for the owl or the let's go to the song, because I'm kind of losing I'm just blabbing away. I forgot you guys are here. Okay, let's go. Yeah, let's go to the track and whatever. I just, for me, this is therapeutic too, because it brings back memories of my uncle, and I just love talking about him. I love sharing things about him, because the truth is that this is the only way I can do it. Like, if I go on a TV show or something like that, they just, it's usually defending him, and it's off of some nonsense. And so, I'm hoping the tide will turn, and people, I've started seeing other people interview, like, Akon or Wyclef, and they get to share their stories of fun stories about Michael and stuff like that. And I eat those up daily. Like, I love those things. So, I hope the tide turns in that way. Okay, let's do this last one, and then we'll wrap it up from there. Okay, so here's, hold on, let me just say it. Alexa, play She Drives Me Crazy by Fine Young Cannibals.
She Drives Me Crazy by Fine Young Cannibals on Amazon Music.
There's no
Yeah, I mean, we can listen to all these songs in general. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of certain songs that he kind of enjoyed in that way. I think the next thing that I would want to do, but I would do it in a way on my YouTube, would be movies, and maybe give it a certain time period in terms of, so you guys can watch some of them ahead of time. But that would be the next thing I would want to do in terms of the, getting to know MJ aspect of this. I'm going to obviously do my own live streaming too, but I just kind of want to do back and forth, throw some of these in here, because I think these are great for me therapeutically wise, because I read so much nonsense on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook that sometimes I need to kind of cleanse or detox from just, I don't want to say the negativity, it's just the ignorance, so this is something great for me to do as well, to remind myself that it's basically strangers trying to paint the picture of who Michael Jackson is, as opposed to people that knew him and that were around him. I should say it's basically strangers and opportunists, because I think Wade and James are nothing but opportunists, and have been. They saw, I think it started with their parents, who saw Michael as an opportunity, and because they felt entitled and because they got everything they wanted, it became they inherited the opportunist trait from their family. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people can be like that. It's unfortunate that the media will not even look into them, which is, on Twitter, I've kind of said how, there's a lot of hypocrisy going around now about people that are now saying, oh, we should look into every allegation in terms of both sides of it. But that wasn't the case when it was, when we were talking about Leaving Neverland, and there was no both sides to look into. The media never talked about that or reported the other side. They never even looked into Wade or James or their previous court appearances or depositions or anything, because if they did, they would have been embarrassed, and I don't think they would have printed half the stuff that they did. But I do believe, and I've always said this, and I haven't changed my mind, that the tide is changing. I still think there's a lot to do, a lot more work to do. I think that we have to just be careful not to lose hope, because we are in an echo chamber ourselves, where we are kind of, we don't see the full picture, but at the same time, the media is always trying to paint this negative thing about Michael Jackson, because that's how they make money. And so we just have to be careful. But at the same time, we have to kind of stick together. This virus in itself, this coronavirus, has caused people to get antsy and kind of irritated, and we kind of attack the people closest to us, or the people that we know, in that way. And so we have to be very careful in that, because I've seen some infighting in the community, which hurts, because it's, I care about everyone, and I want everyone, I appreciate everyone that's supporting my family, and it hurts when there's division like that, especially when I know the other side is thriving off of that and probably helping with a lot of that. And so, the only thing I could say is let's keep supporting, the truth, and let's get the truth out there to as many people as we can. And just because, we're on social media, a lot of people see that the tide is changing, when it comes to, TikTok dances and, or just in general, like people dancing to Michael, singing Michael, playing Michael, a lot of it wouldn't happen a year ago, because people would have been too scared to do that. But I think that because the tide has changed, and because there's alternative, info out there. There's facts out there now that you guys have done such an incredible job getting out there to people. You know, you guys are like incredible in that way. And just because of that, you know, you're relentless too. But just because you're of that, it's changed so many people's minds. And as I always said, it's like they're the ignorant ones, not us. You know, we've done our homework, we've done the studying, we have the facts to back it up, and they usually cower it away and they just block you. You know, they'll say, oh well, you know, and then they'll block you. And they don't have a comeback, they don't have an answer. And so I just wish that the media was more responsible, which goes to show you that the media has an agenda as well, which I always knew because I grew up in this family, you know, that the media, I always knew that they weren't fair. They were fair with my uncle when he was making money for them and they could print. And then once, you know, it became more lucrative to dump on him, that's what they started to do. So now we have to get to the point where it's more lucrative for them to celebrate Michael again, which was the case in 2009, which is why everyone was celebrating him. You know, we just have to get back to that place, and we will definitely do that. But yeah, saying that, the last thing I wanted to say was just in terms of, so the justice for Invincible, we have to figure out the right date, and I'm not the one to do that. We have to figure out the right date, and please don't make it like 8 a.m. for me. I know there's different time zones, but because I'll miss like the first couple hours of it, and I want to be there in the beginning to help steer it. But I do, you know, I think there needs to be justice for Invincible. I love seeing my uncle back on the charts. I love seeing, you know, stream Billie Jean, because I know someone wants to get Billie Jean to a billion views. You know, I think that's a great idea as well. There's so many great ideas that you guys come up with. We just have to do them. We have to stay strong. I think, as Danny said, you know, in China, you know, Square One was viewed in China by, you know, millions of people. That's incredible. You know, and I think that shows the difference of media in China, you know, who never, you know, subscribed to Michael being a certain way because they were off of the facts, and compared to someone or the place that we're at right now in well, I am in, you know, America, where it's all based on how many clicks can I get. And so I think we'll see something change in that, and I'm hoping we will. And let's see. Justice for, let's do the hashtag justice for Invincible, and I will be following to see how we do that. And if you guys can think of a date, that'd be incredible, because I'm there to help. Obviously, you know, I try as much time as I can to do that. I truly believe in my uncle's legacy, just because, you know, of the person he was, and also because I'm a fan as well. No, I did answer this, but someone asked, did Michael watch contemporary TV? He liked old school stuff more, like Sanford and Son and Good Times, and so he'd watch more reruns of that, or the Jeffersons, you know, like George Jefferson and stuff like that. Yeah, but he didn't really watch contemporary TV. He knew about what was shown, but he didn't really watch it that much. He would watch more movies. Let's see. Buster Keaton. You know, the hard thing is I don't, you know, I just know what he showed us, and he showed us a lot of Chaplin and a lot of Three Stooges. He wasn't particularly, and it wasn't that he didn't care about him. He just wasn't really a Laurel and Hardy fan or a Marx Brothers fan. He was just a Three Stooges fan. He just loved them. And the same thing with Buster Keaton. I think it was he loved Charlie Chaplin more. And I'm trying to get to a couple more. Did you watch The Sopranos? No, I don't know that answer, but I would probably say no. That's a lot of time that he would spend watching. He wasn't someone that would watch like I think the shows that that he would watch, you could come in and out. He wasn't a serial person where you would have to watch, an episode every episode to know what was going on. I'm just trying to get to as many questions before I leave. What was his favorite drink? Drink a lot of water. There was times when he had orange soda, or the orange soda drink, but I'm trying to remember when that was. But there was times when he would want that a lot. But yeah, I would say those two. That's a Terrell TJ question. I don't know that. He drank a lot of orange juice as well, but like, yeah. And I really hope you guys are all safe and healthy and dealing with this whole thing as well. I should have started like that. I just jumped right into it, but that's another thing. And yes, my uncle has been helping me get through it. My family has, actually, in terms of just listening to old Jackson 5 clips, old Jackson clips, old Michael songs, new Michael songs. When I say new, I meant, the newer stuff in that Invincible, like the latter stuff. I didn't say new. Just in general, just for me, like, because their music encompasses so much, and Janet's as well. There's so many things that I just love about my family that I'm so proud about. But at the same time, I would say you guys definitely listen to Live at the Forum, the Jackson 5 Live at the Forum. I'm still amazed at how young they were and what they were doing at that age, and it says a lot. I mean, it's truly magical. Okay, I'm going to answer like 3 more questions. I don't know about Oingo Boingo, like Weird Science and all that stuff. I'm sure he did, because he did like those kind of like John Hughes movies and stuff like that. So he could have probably heard, songs like that. But I never asked him about Oingo Boingo or anything like that. Let's see. Yeah, 2300 Jackson Street's a great album. It's unfortunate that it didn't get its due in that way. That's another album. I think a lot of the Jacksons albums are incredible. It's just they don't get their due because a lot of people focus on, just strictly Michael stuff. But I like seeing the progression of it, and you hear certain songs, and you hear a lick that he later does, 20 years later. Or when I say lick, I meant like a line, or a vocal line, and you're like, that's where he got it from there. Like there's a line in what song was it? It's a song from Invincible, but it was like, it's from Even Though You're Gone from the Jacksons. Like, and when I say it's like he's saying that same lick on that song that he did. And so it's kind of interesting to do that. So I recommend you guys do that. And next time around, I'm going to ask you what your favorite like Jackson's songs are in that way. All right. I think that's enough. I've wasted enough of you guys' time. We're going on 2 hours right now. Do you love the Osmonds? That's I don't know. I didn't ever ask him about the music aspect of the Osmonds. I know that he and Donnie were friends, and I know that he respected Donnie a lot. Because I always ask him, because there was that rivalry that the media had between the Osmonds and the Jacksons, and he would always talk about how they would hang out together, on the road and stuff like that, and how he would always have a smile and a good memory about it. So, but I never asked him, oh, well, what did you think about the songs and stuff like that? So, did you guys get Michael to watch baseball? Baseball is one of the most boring sports. I'm sorry if you guys, I play baseball and I love it to death, but watching it, my brothers watch it. I think it's one of the most boring sports, but there were times when he would come down and sing a little league in his Mercedes and watch our games in his car, obviously, so no one knew it was him. But I thought that was so incredible, just in general, like that he came to watch our games. You know, I don't. I think there was a lot of pride that he had with us in that way, and yeah, it just thinking back at that, like that's a great memory that he had, but that he actually sat there and watched some of our little league games. He's just a great uncle in that way. Any film family updates? I've talked to Prince about it. We have to talk to BG to see, how we do this in Film Families, the show that we do about, movies and reviewing and stuff like that. I'll probably have Prince or myself talk to BG to see if he's set up on his end to do, some episodes and whatever. I think that would be awesome. Someone said earlier that we're going on our 1-year anniversary. I don't know what date that is, but that might be a good time to restart. I've never read Moonwalk. You might take my Jackson badge away, but I've never read it. I'm not a reader. I'm a reader when it comes to manuals and like book nerd kind of reader. But I'm not a reader in terms of like reading just books general. I think the last book I read was the first Harry Potter, and then I listened to all the rest on audiobooks. But I'm just not. I'm a slow reader. That's why I read extremely slow. Did he like Peter Gabriel? I know we heard some Peter Gabriel songs while we were with him, and that he enjoyed those songs. I don't know if it was Sledgehammer though. That was the one. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I've definitely heard songs with him. Let's see. All right. Well, yeah, because I can keep going for days, but you guys, really appreciate this. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and in general. And what I want to do now is, I mean, not now, but what I really want to do is probably I gotta figure out how to do the movie thing in that way, because obviously I can't play clips from it. But I think if I give you guys a list and give you guys a certain amount of time to watch it, we can discuss it. And the movies are interesting because I really believe that they're a way to get to know him a lot. Because I think there are certain movies he made us. I shouldn't say made. He wanted us to watch that really, in hindsight now, I know they were super important. And so, yeah, I think that would be important for you guys to watch and learn. And if this whole thing is about getting to know Michael better and kind of understanding, that would be the way to do it. Would be, I think, movies are something that really were inspiring to him. Okay. Yeah, and I'll give you guys the list of movies. We'll start small so that you guys don't feel like, but yeah, there's certain movies that he made an emphasis to talk to us about. And someone asked about the doctor. Well, my documentary have Michael's minute. That's up to the estate and Sony, but I'm counting on it. I mean, that was the whole point. Like, I don't think you can do a documentary about Michael Jackson without having his music or performances in there. It tells a story, especially if you're going through that time period and whatever. So yeah, I've never counted on it not having it. Just that, and just for like a quick update as well. The Last Dance, I don't know how many people has seen it yet, the Michael Jordan one. I was very not inspired by it, but I just, in terms of just in general the scope of it, how many people were interviewed, and just getting an idea of kind of a remembering the time of, no pun intended for that, but just going back to that time period and kind of seeing it through everyone's lens and eyes. That's what I think needs to be done with this, with this project I'm working with, is basically the best people to tell who Michael Jackson is or was is the people that knew him, not the journalists that think they know him or that read up on him and read this and that, because a lot of that, I mean, that's fine if they've done their homework, but a lot of them haven't, and they don't know who Michael truly was, or they haven't interviewed the right people. It's the same thing as if you went to, if someone was doing something on you and they went to your classmates at school, at one of your old schools, it depends who they interviewed. Certain experiences would be different compared to who they interviewed in your class. And I think it's the same thing with this, is that, a lot of the people that I've seen in some of these documentaries in the past are people that I'm like, well, they weren't even that close to my uncle. Why would they be interviewed? Or why didn't you interview this person who was even closer to my uncle? And so that's one of the things that I'm very cautious of in general, but I'm also, because of this situation, I'm very cautious of the timing of approaching people and just all the politics behind it as well. It's like, there's another side, which, I'm sure is on this live stream right now, waiting for me to screw up by saying something that they can turn and twist it against me. But that's the same thing. It's like, as soon as I say a name of, oh yeah, I want to interview this person, then they're on, with their friends, trying to sabotage that and trying to get that, that person, out of the running of supporting Michael or scaring them away. So I've been very careful of who I've said. And also, I think timing wise, as we've said, it's just become to the point where now we're at a good point where the tide is turning, where there's a lot of people, that will want to participate now, that earlier on would have been a little more squeamish. I think that's the word. Yeah, squeamish. So now I'm just rambling. So I think they're gonna end this. But Marvel or DC, my uncle loved both. He wanted to buy Marvel, but he loved Batman a lot. He thought Batman was edgy. He was excited when Tim Burton's Batman came out. So I think it's both. Like, I can't say. I try to think what else. Okay, yeah. So I think that's it in general. But yes, I think this, obviously there's some kind. I'm trying to do as much as I can while we're in this situation, because obviously, I don't want to do phone interviews or interviews over Skype or stuff like that. I want to be in-person interviews because I think they're more personal. But at the same time, a lot of the people that I'm interviewing, I know very well, or at least I've known them through my uncle, and I want to be there to talk to them and share those stories, as opposed to, I think there's just a different vibe when it's over, the internet or over Skype. And I want the audience to experience that as well. And so let's hope that we're all safe and healthy, so that we can get this project going. But I don't want to endanger people as well by getting this going. So I'm trying to do as much behind the scenes as I can, to keep it moving, but I hope this goes, but as it progresses, it's kind of starting to slow down things. But safety first, and that's all I can say about that. Sorry if it's so cryptic and like that, but I learned my lesson when someone tried to twist some of my words last live stream. So that's it, guys. I will post, so make sure you subscribe as well to the YouTube, because just check the comment thing. There's like a comment or something, not comment section. There's a section, community section, that I can post certain things on there. And that's where I'm going to do the list of his, and they're not favorite movies. They're movies that he loved. So I guess, that's the hard thing about this. They weren't I don't know if they were his favorite songs, but they're songs that he definitely played often. And they're songs that kind of sparked something in my memory of him. And that's the same thing I'm going to do with the movies and stuff like that, which will be more my element because that's something that we talked about a lot. And we'll talk about certain things that didn't happen that he wanted to happen in terms of in movies and stuff like that. And we'll go from there. But thank you guys so much, and we'll talk soon.